Hey everybody. As you can tell by the title of this video, it is called Voting. Now, I'm going to answer everyone's questions about voting. You may wonder, why is she making a video about voting? Now, look, there is so much you need to know about voting. And you may think that, and this is the truth, you may think that your vote does not matter. You may think that it doesn't matter if you vote or not because they're not really choosing your vote to choose of who is the president. So you're wrong because your vote does matter. And if you don't vote, then you're not helping of who's going to be president. And that's just the truth. Sorry, guys. I've just been thirsty. Let me point out my cup. No, it's not a Stanley. It's a dupe. Because I don't have money for a Stanley. But I am trying to put pink and purple, trying to decorate it with gibbets and stuff. And I did have a purple um, water bottle, but I feel like this one, this 40-ounce water bottle, makes you drink a lot more water. It really does. Because I see myself drinking like at least 4 cups, 4 of these bottles a day. So it really does help. But that was a little thing about my water bottle. Let's get back into the voting. So I have a lot of information for you guys, and if you have more information that you want to know about voting, please comment down below, and I will definitely help you on getting the information that you need. Also, I will have information in the description down below to help you out as well. But let's get started. November elections are coming up, and November elections are coming up, and if your children have noticed the campaign ads on TV or signs on lawns, this is a good time to teach them about elections, why voting matters, and why people vote. Now, you don't just have to teach your kids about voting. You can even teach yourself as an adult about voting. Besides the fact that voting is a cornerstone of our country's way of life, literally millions of people take part in elections every year. It's good to teach your online students or adults about elections, why voting matters, and what their role in the elections are. Why is it important to vote? The United States saw record turnout for the 2020 elections with 66.8% of citizens age 18 and older voting. The U.S. says prior to that, nearly 56% of U.S. voting age population cast a ballot in the 2016 election, and the record was 58% in 2008. According to the elections, this figure tells us that nearly half of eligible voters cite out major elections in our country. Off year or non presidential elections typically draw even fewer voters. Why do people choose not to have their say about who runs our country? Books, authors, blogs, posts by the score have tied. Try to answer the age-old "why should I vote" question. Say we have a duty to vote as citizens of a democracy. And benefactors of the government U.S., such as roads, fire departments, and, all of that jazz. In other words, others vote because they believe their vote will make a difference. You can stoke your youngsters. So, you're basically making a difference by voting. Ways to get people involved in elections. Now, young people can't vote until they're 18 years old, of course, but there are other ways to get involved. And adults that can vote, please get involved. Ways you can get involved is be informed. Can read about political issues and decide where they stand and why. Be heard in addition to you and your children discussing issues and candidates. They can voice their options on social media and social or local newspapers or in other public forums or in other public forums. Volunteer. Local candidates will come Local candidates will welcome an ethnicity, teen ready to join a phone bank, participate in door to door outreach. Pause. Now, door to door outreach is like having a pamphlet talking about voting and you having the knowledge of voting, and you go to everyone's door and you just speak to them about voting and you give them a pamphlet. That's basically what it is. New Voters, a student run nonprofit working to expand the youth vote by organizing voter registration drives in high schools across America, says engaging youth in the election process during high school will prepare them to be frequent and informed voters in the future. The process of knowledge of critical thinking, responsibilities, and understanding that the value and role of democracy in the country. You can introduce younger students to elections by teaching 6 simple concepts. Voting. Your vote is how you say what you want. By voting, a group of people can come to a fair decision when they do not all agree. Democracy. A democracy is a type of government. In a democracy, people vote to choose government leaders. Sometimes they may vote for or against certain laws or projects in their community. Candidate. People who want to be government leaders declare that they are a candidate for the job. Usually, there is more than one candidate for each job. So, people vote for the candidate they think would do the best job. Campaign. A candidate has to pursue people to vote for them. This is called campaigning for the vote. In a campaign, candidates talk to people several ways, such as in person, in speeches, and in advertising. So pause. Let's, explain that for a minute. So, like Trump and Kamala Harris, for example, they go on TV. Well, they're live on TV, but they go to different countries, different states, different cities, and, they're talking to large crowds of people and trying to persuade them to get their vote of how to vote for them. So that's another way. Election. When a group of people votes, it is called an election. Another word of election is a poll. On election day, people go to polling places to vote. In some places, voters have several days to vote. Polling places are often in schools, community centers, or other public buildings. Sometimes people can vote by mail. So, a poll is somewhere you go, and I've done it because I'm an adult. But a poll is basically a building in your city where everybody in your town goes to, and you give them, your name, And you go in different sections from what town you live in, and basically you just fill out the paper, and it will ask you like if you're a Democrat or Republican and who you want to basically vote for. So as your president or as your mayor, stuff like that. Demonstrate how elections work with the family vote. Choose what to have for dinner, what movie to watch, or what to do next weekend or for the holidays. Make up ballots with suggestions. Explain what everyone in the family gets one vote. Let everyone make a short pitch for their favorite choice. Mark your ballots. The male movie activities with most votes win. Let a younger child count the votes and announce the winner. Then, if necessary, have a lesson about voting. When I tell you voting is really, really important. Additional resources for voting. Learning coaches who need a refresher should check out how stuff work, how midterm elections work. Writer Dave Ross explains off-year voting and points out while the presidential election isn't decided by popular vote. Remember the Electoral College? Midterm elections give Americans a chance to vote directly for the politicians who will likely have the greatest impact on our daily lives. So, I'm about to play a video for you guys. I have no rights, okay? No rights whatsoever to this video. But I think this video is very, very educational for you guys to really understand, voting and everything that comes with it.
What is Election Day? What is the difference between the presidential elections and the midterm elections? Who can run for president? Before we can answer those questions, we first have to ask, what is democracy? Democracy is a system of government where representatives are voted into office by the people. In true democracies, citizens can take an active role in their government and hold them to account by voting them out. Democracy is linked to human rights and aims to ensure that everyone in a society is represented, regardless of skin color, religion, ability, or a wide range of other. Democracy should ensure that governments protect their people. Why do we vote? In the United States, citizens are able to influence our government by voting. Voting is an opportunity for your voice to be heard. It allows people an opportunity to choose who they feel will be the most responsible candidate to speak and represent their beliefs and values. There are two main political parties people vote for in the United States. Each party has one person representing their party in the presidential election. There can be third-party candidates, but these people typically do not get very many votes. Election Day. Election Day is filled with anticipation and enthusiasm as people wait at various polling or voting stations to cast their vote for the candidate they feel best represents them and their ideals. At voting locations, people are given a list of candidates to choose from, which is called a ballot. A ballot could be a paper and pencil ballot or an electronic ballot. The difference between presidential elections and midterm elections. We elect the president for our country every 4 years. The president of the United States has great power and responsibility. American citizens want a president who will use this power to make their lives and the USA better. In between the presidential elections, we also have midterm elections. The midterm elections elect members to our United States Congress. Presidential elections. In order for a person to run for president, they must meet all of these qualifications. A natural-born citizen of the United States. A resident of the United States for at least 14 years. At least 35 years old. After you cast your vote, after Election Day, there is another election. This is done by the Electoral College. The Electoral College gets the final say on who will be the president. A candidate needs at least 270 votes to win the election. Midterm elections. The midterm elections are direct elections. That means that the votes citizens place go directly toward electing a candidate. This is different than the presidential elections, which are indirect. In an indirect election, votes from citizens contribute to electoral votes. Overall, the midterm elections are important for our country because they give citizens a chance to directly participate in government through voting. Quick quiz. If the last United States presidential election took place in 2020, when is the next presidential election?
Hope you guys get this right.
The last United States presidential election took place in 2020. The next presidential election will take place in 2024. When are midterm elections? For more resources related to the voting process, it's a
Now, so I hope that you learned a lot from that video. Like I said, I have no rights whatsoever to that video. I just thought that that video was very informational, and I thought it would give you a lot more information if I have not already. Now, what I'm about to read to you guys, what I'm about to tell you guys, is why Black Americans, African Americans, should vote. It is very important for African Americans to vote, and I'm going to explain to you why we need to vote. Why should African Americans vote? If we don't vote, people into office who have our best interests and advocate for that support our daily livelihood, then we can't expect our tax dollars to be spent in our best interests. Being compliant and not voting is not an option unless you simply concede to giving your hard earned money away to people, programs, and ideals that you do not support. And everyday brass tacks when you don't vote. Support those who vote and try to vote. Voting isn't often seen that clear, cut, and dry. In 1961, President John Kennedy, JFK, issued Order 10925, which enclosed that government contractors take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and employees are treated fairly during employment without regard to their race, creed, color, or national origin. The intent of this exclusive order was to inform the government's commitment to equal opportunity for all equality persons and take positive action to strengthen effort to realize true equality, equal opportunity for all. So back in the day in slavery time, they thought that black Americans were dumb, slow, could not read, and were not United States citizens. And so because of that, we were not allowed to vote. People fought for the right for all Americans, not just the African Americans, to vote. So if you're black, Puerto Rican, white, or Haitian, doesn't matter who you are, get out there with your family and friends, acquaintances, co workers, whomever. Get out there and vote because your vote matters. So you can go to vote.org. I'm going to show you on my phone what comes up when you go on this website. And the link for this website will definitely be in the description down below. So I don't know if you can see. Can you see, guys? One second. Okay, now you guys can see. So this basically gives you a little bit information of what the website is all about, guys. Definitely gives you a lot of information on, what the website is about and protect democracy 2024 and beyond. And then it tells you this page is non, profit that is commanded to advocating for voters in every state. Okay. So, when you go to voters.org, okay, as you can see up here on the corner, voters.org. So, right here, I don't know if you guys can see. I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, you guys can see. So, right here is information that you would put in your first name, last name, and other credentials that you would need. And you can check your voter status so you can see if you're still eligible to vote. And if you're not still eligible to vote, then you can register to vote online. And it will give you an option afterwards to vote online. So as you can see, it gives you all this information to, put in so that you can basically see if you're eligible to vote. And then on the bottom right here, it will say check your status. And then after you click on that, it will load for a couple minutes. And then on the screen, it will tell you your status. Now, I think everybody should, check their status of voting because, like I said, voting is very, very important. Now, if you go on that website, vote.org, it will give you information. It will give you a section where you can put in where you live, and it will tell you where you can go to vote. Stuff like that. You can get a text message or email of information about voting. But if you want to do something in your community about voting, you can definitely, you can have your own club at, your high school, middle school, elementary school, even in your community, and talk about voting. Because, like I said, everybody's vote matters. Everybody's vote matters. And I hope you watch the elections, and I hope you watch Kamala Harris and Trump, whoever you vote for. Don't discriminate whatever you vote for when it comes on the screen. I hope you are very well educated from this video. I hope the video gave you a bunch of information and definitely answered all of your voter questions. Another way that you could, get in there with voting is you can volunteer. So at the polls, you could be one of the volunteers that help people get to their section of the poll in the building where the polls are held. So you can definitely help. Like I said, you can go to each person's house and you could give them information on voting. There are so many things you can do with voting, and I hope that you teach your little ones, your children, everything there is to know about voting, because voting is very, very important. Your vote matters. I'm going to say it again. Your vote matters. Please go out there and vote. Your vote matters. Please go out there and vote. Your vote matters. Please go out there and vote. Because what happens is, and this is real, like, true, like, facts. What happens is, if you don't go out there and you don't vote, then when it's time to pick who's president or who's this or who's that, if not that many people vote, then maybe the person that you want to be president won't be president, because, you know, your vote matters. It's not, oh, you guys vote and then they throw your votes in the trash and they don't really look at them. They look at them because you're the one deciding who's going to run your country. You're the one who's going to be the mayor of your city. So you need to choose wisely. Like I said, please, I hope this video really helps each and every one of you, because voting matters. You need to get out and you need to vote. Voting is very, very important. With that being said, I am registered to vote, and I go to my voting poll every time and I vote. Now, you can definitely go on voting.org and it will definitely tell you where you can go to vote, because voting is so important, guys. It is so important. It is so important. With that being said, everything will be in the listed down in the description. I hope you like, subscribe, share, comment, and most of all, I hope you get up and vote. Until next time, bye guys.